I think we live in a world, and I certainly hear this sentiment a lot from listeners and from students and people that we come in contact with every day, and experience myself. In the last couple of years, since podcasting has really hit mainstream, and social media has morphed, it just seems to take and more of our day and our attention as marketers of information, including us, become better and better at, getting us to click and watch things. How do we do all this stuff? Because we're supposed to be in ice baths, we're supposed to be doing a gratitude journal, we're supposed to be doing a morning routine, 20 minutes of this, we're supposed to manage what we eat with our carbs and balance our sugars, and we're told that you've got to do these 8 things to not have belly fat, and then you've got a wife, a husband, a kid, and a business, which is, I always say that having a business is like having a baby. They're easy and fun to make initially, but all the hard work starts afterwards. And so you've got these startups, and many of our listeners are trying to get from 0 to 1, right? Meaning from no result to a result. It could be 0 to their first sale, or 0 to 100,000, or 0 to $1 million in a year. But just get that first run on the board. How do you actually do that? So, and are you, if I was to, see inside your worlds, are you that picture perfect, everything's organized scenario? Mark, you're running a multi-million-dollar business. James, you're running a multi-million-dollar business. You're both investors. What's your opening comment on this? Let's start with you, Mark, and then James, I know you've got an epic story you want to share, so we'll dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really cool topic and a super important conversation, especially today and post-COVID, right? When podcasting has really blown up, and there's just so much information out there about everything, but there's also 10x the amount of information about health, because now everyone has become so much more health conscious as well. I think the first thing that I want to say is that these experts that come on and give their 8 tips or their morning routine or whatever it is, like your training videos, this is something that they've developed over 20, 30 years, or sometimes a whole career. And we're getting all of that information in our morning feed from 60 different people, and they're all giving us their own version of what it's taken them to get to the optimal place in their life. So I think that's the first thing that I wanted to say. And over the past 12 months, this has probably been my largest area of time attention on my health, my routine, my regime, longevity, all these kind of things. But at the start, I fell into a big hole of overwhelm, because there's just so much information, and I just had no idea where to start or what was right for me. So I'll go into detail a little bit later what I did to kind of get through that overwhelm. But at the start, it made everything worse. Yeah, the amount of information made everything worse.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important frame before we dive too much deeper, is that everybody listening to this is at different stages. Some of you listening to this are 50 years old, you're a multi-millionaire, you've got the base under you, you've got momentum, you're in a different place to somebody who's in their 20s trying to get some equity, trying to get going, trying to get a result on their resume. They're deep in that learning, leaning into it phase. Yeah. So there are different phases to life. But a really interesting thing, when you're starting out, a lot of these guys like Brian Johnson, the guy who sold his company for $800 million and is now spending $1 million or $2 million a year or something on longevity. This dude's made his money. Let's be clear, right? I follow Simon Beard on Instagram. Simon, a great guy, very, very smart, built Culture Kings here in Australia, sold at a valuation of $600 million. And if you follow Simon on Instagram, he's built an incredible home here on the Gold Coast. He's got a cryotherapy, he's got a plunge pool, hot pool, cold pool, wicked gym, and he posts the what he's doing, right? But Simon's built Culture Kings, right? I doubt he was doing all of that when he was building it. And young people sometimes email and they go, hey dude, I've got a business coach, and this business coach has told me I need to have a gratitude journal every morning. I've got to do an ice bath every morning. I've got to do 30 minutes of cardio to get the adenosine out of the system, because Huberman said my brain isn't clear. He goes, by the time I've done all this, that's 2 hours of the morning gone. Now, James, I know for you, and I know for me, and I'll ask you as well, Mark, some of my best, most progressive, needle-moving work, in fact, most of it for me is done in those first hours of the morning, by the time most people are getting to work, I've done 4 hours of work for real. So that sort of puts a frame around it, because people who become successful from doing work, not from taking ice baths.
Yeah, and you got to be careful too. Like young guys, in your example there about the business coach who's promoting do this and this. Like, well, firstly, who are you? Have you built a 9-figure empire for me to even take that advice, or are you just the same person I am over here, feeling like a fire hose in your mouth from all these umpteen different podcasts, and you're just dropping in there to make up some of your content to be part of your coaching program too. So it's like, let's talk about what's real for you, how that worked for you, and show me the evidence before I start jumping.
Because that's another pandemic, is 22-year-old life coaches, right?
Yeah.
Totally. And you were talking before about some people's life work been displayed, but fuck, 75% of it is shit because they've never done it, and they're making money out of selling the education too.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, and we'll get to this in a moment, about the as I said, the fire hose in the mouth of content, it's like, who do you really want to follow? And for me, before we go too far in that bigger conversation, I just generally go, all right, who's the two that make sense for what I'm doing right now? And I'm just going to go deep on that, and I'm just going to consume all their content
and ignore everything
put the
else.
blinkers on. Otherwise, you get completely sidetracked by shiny object, and they're on different podcasts, and you start listening to them. And well, stop. Let's consume all their content, and if it's relevant for me, I'll continue. Then we'll go on to probably one or two guys or people, I should say, at any one time. Other than that, I just turn all the noise off. And as I said, go deep on that and pull all the gold out of their knowledge that they've put together over a period of time that's proven results.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you want to watch another clip, click here, or if you want to see the full episode, click here. Bye for now.